AOS fans, Robin here, and back once more with a deck review for you. This is the first deck I have recorded since the new BAR list dropped. It did cause me some problems because they dropped Extreme Flank. As you can see from the title, I'm going to be playing the blue Horror Tome deck, and I think Extreme Flank obviously would have been a really good card for that deck, really good card for most decks, which is why it's been bad. But I had to take it out, and I also had to... Well, I thought I would have to drop Deathly Fortitude and Sudden Growth, but actually they sneaked back in there in the end, because the one small silver lining of Extreme Flank being banned was that I freed up one restricted slot, and in the final summing up, Superior Tactician, which is also added the restricted list, I also dropped because it's a third end phase card, as of course is Acolyte of the Cataphragms, which you have to take if you're making a tome deck. So here we go, I'll quickly run through the deck for you. So having a look at the objectives, I've got Change of Tactics. Change of Tactics is a pretty good card, it's restricted as you know, with Inspire Command on the deck, which is pretty good for putting people on guard, and the fact that I've got Keep Them Guessing in here, which means I might need to put somebody on guard, or I could put somebody on guard and it wouldn't cost me the end of the earth. Then Change of Tactics is in here. Change of Tactics and Keep Them Guessing kind of synergise quite nicely, really. I've got Escalation, possibly surprised it's not banned, but I mean it's good, brilliant for this deck, so that's why that's in there. I'm going to be putting Tomes on the blue Horror, so there's a very good chance of getting Escalation. Our Only Way Out and Supremacy, pretty much matching cards for getting those three objectives, and obviously there's glory difference, but they're both in there. And I've got Buy the City, because that does the same thing, so there's three chances of scoring Supremacy type objectives. A Shining Example, because I have Inspiration Strikes and I'll hopefully inspire Vortimus during the game, so that's why that's in there. I would have preferred Fired Up, but obviously that's restricted, so I haven't got that. Acolyte of the Cataphragms, the kind of linchpin of this deck, if you like, which is that you get one glory for every tome on a single character, so that's Acolyte of the Cataphragms. I'll be putting those on the blue Horror. Catching Up, if things don't go to plan at the beginning, I could find myself behind. Hopefully I'll have catching up to catch up, or maybe even later in the game, who knows. It's in there. I'm not overly sold on catching up, but it is in there to see how it goes. Frugal, almost the opposite of catching up. If I'm getting ahead, I can get an extra glory for getting ahead. Quite nice with the tomes at the end, because if you haven't come at the end, you've got the tomes, they score first according to the new FAQ, and then you can score frugal. Similarly, if I score supremacy, then I've got frugal in my hand and it's bang on, so that's why that's in there. Keep Them Guessing, as I've already said. Keep Them Guessing is really good for the Eyes of the Nine, because they do have some card actions, or at least one card action in Vortimus is bringing back the blue Horror, so that makes it much easier to score. Martyred, because they're also pretty fragile. I think I'll probably end up dangling Navi or Turosh out in front of Pete. Hopefully he'll kill them. Hopefully I'll score Martyred. And then finally Singled Out. Again, a great matchup with the Tomes on the blue Horror for scoring 3 upgrades on one person, so that's Singled Out. What about my gambits? I've gone for a fairly standard set of gambits, really. I've got the anti-Mollog transfixing stare. That's all I've gone for. Don't play Mollog very often. Obviously my meta's very, very tiny, so I'm only going to be playing Pete once. Mollog maybe. We'll have to see how that goes if I need to put the other Mollog tech, anti-Mollog tech cards in him. I don't like them, so at the moment I'm staying away from them. But what I've got Distraction, Hidden Paths, Inspiration Strikes, all for fairly obvious reasons. Last Chance, now that is subbed in, sort of anti-Mollog, but also just because I think it is a good card for Dodge Warband. Pete's played it with me a few times, and I'm coming around to it. So Last Chance is in there, and I'll be hoping possibly using it on Vortimus or possibly the blue Horror. Ready for Action. Now I almost lost Ready for Action out of this, but actually I think an extra move action, even at almost any point in the game, it could be useful. I'm probably not likely to be using it for attacking, maybe, you never know, but I think a move action to get onto those objectives, since I do have so many supremacy style objectives, it could be useful. Similarly, Sidestep, Inspire Command. Now I played this wrong in the last game, but not that it mattered, but I did play it wrong. But I can use it to put somebody on guard or move somebody, so again it could be useful for supremacy type objectives or useful for Change of Tactics. Quick Advance, again moving people about. Deceitful Step, a teleport card that's unique to the Eyes of the Nine. It's unreliable, but it's still reasonably good chance of getting on an objective if you need to, or maybe on a starting case if that's okay. Brilliant for getting that blue Horror away from trouble should I need to. Irresistible Prize again, grabbing on those objectives and just moving people. I quite like it. Can really mess people up. I mean, it could almost be useful for Mollog in the sense that if he's near an objective, you might be able to drag him backwards, and that could be the difference between death or glory. Maybe not, but anyway, the Irresistible Prize has made it into the deck, and finally, as I said, Transfixing Stare. And then my upgrades, I've gone for Acrobatic, which I think is the sort of almost most important card in this deck for making Vortimus even more difficult to kill, especially if he's inspired. And then have got Deathly Fortitude and Sudden Growth, perfect for the blue horror. You want to try and beef him up as much as possible, and that's also why Great Fortitude is in the deck for the same reason. And Champion's Fortitude, again, Vortimus or the horror can benefit from Champion's Fortitude. Fameway Crystal, I think, is a really good card. It's great for the horror to teleport him away, or great to teleport somebody across to get onto an objective should I need it for my Supremacy style objectives. And then the tomes, Tome of Diseases, Tome of Glories, Tome of Offerings, Tome of Vitality, and Tome of Warfare. To be honest, it's almost irrelevant what these do. I mean, the Tome of Offerings, I guess there's an outside chance I might score an extra glory from it. The Tome of Glories, maybe I might gain a glory point from that towards the end if I'm in a good, strong position. I have to see, who knows. So that's it, really. So that's the tomes. Hopefully I can make that work for me. We'll have to see. So until the game, hope you're enjoying your time in the Mirrored City. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you have in your tome deck if you're playing one. I think it's a viable build. Having not been a viable build until the latest round of cards, I think it's now a proper good viable build, and I think people are using it to great effect. It's a sort of a shame, really. It doesn't really have Eyes of the Nine written all over it. I'd like to have an Eyes of the Nine tailored deck. I mean, this is kind of like, well, it just happens that the blue horror is difficult to kill, so it makes it worth playing, which is a bit of a shame, but they're good at playing this. It's nice to bring the eyes to the table, so we'll see how we go. So until next time, bye!